Where do we start? There's a lot of them in the real world and the fictional, but we'll just be talking about the fictional villains from cinema, TV, novels. Yeah. It should be good. It should be good. Yeah. I don't know which one to start off with though, or how to even break it down. Maybe
we could first start by talking about the opposite of a villain, which is a superhero, I suppose. So I'll start this by talking about one of my personal heroes from life who sadly passed on Sunday. One of my oldest friend, and a man that an artist I knew and very well, and I'm just going to start off by honouring him because he was one of my heroes and definitely, without a doubt, one of the inspirations of my life. And I wrote this piece earlier for him. This is for Mike Vaughan. So I'm going to try and not get too emotional when I read this, but it's possible that I might do so.
Did you write this today?
Yeah, only about 30 minutes ago or something. So, yeah. Okay. I'm going to miss those nights at the mill where we would talk of memories past and possibilities of the future, of art, of life, of love, of pain, of laughter, of the meaning of life itself. The entire community will miss you. Many lives in Congleton and the Electric Picture House, an ideal that united so many and created so many strong friendships, even lovers, was your baby. I love you, Mike. I just wish I had the chance to tell you how much you meant to us all. You are our leader, our friend, our wise wizard, the mold that we aim to become. In your creative vision, fearless in your creative vision and tireless in your creative quest. We can only hope to aspire to your legend in life, in kindness and humility. Rest in peace, old friend. We are grieving now, but in time we'll come to fully appreciate just how much you created for a bunch of disenfranchised young people, and how much you created your own mini revolution. And even if you didn't achieve as much as you might have hoped in your art, we will make sure in death that you are remembered the way you would want to be, as an artist, a friend, a visionary, and a man of fierce principle and honour. So that's my good friend Mike Von Nixon, who was a great inspiration on my life personally, and a lot of the people. I'm in the Electric Pitch House now, which is the building he art space in Congleton that he was basically had the idea for, and I thought that when he grandfather of this place, he really got it up and go. We're all really devastated. I think we're going to be dealing with it in our own ways, I guess. But yeah, I just thought I'd start with that because I only heard the news today, and it's very sad. And I'm going through the grieving process still, but I think this will help this podcast anyway, just discussing that.
How did you meet him?
I met him at the first studios we were at. It was a long time ago, actually. It was about 2010, I think, roughly. And I just got a studio at this place called Victoria Mill. I'd been there for a while with a few others, like Mick, who's a great graffiti artist, and just a great artist all around, a great guy as well. And I knew a few others there, like Petra, who's a great painter. And yeah, but basically, like I became friends with Petra just basically by we go outside and have chats and stuff, and just got to know her. And then he said there's this like this kind of eccentric, crazy guy you've got to meet because he's sorry, I'm just gonna. He's because you'll get on with him really well. So I did, and kind of a friendship blossomed from there. I can remember how we initially connected was that I had to store some of my paintings, and I had a lot of paintings. Then I had about, I guess, 30 quite large paintings, and he basically created like a wooden storage container. I know nothing of like creating stuff out of wood and rubbish, all that kind of stuff with my hands. I mean, I'm good at painting, obviously, I guess. Well,
Yeah.
I can't say that, but you know what I mean. And he created a cabinet for my paintings to stand in. And that's kind of how we got friends. And me and Petra and Mike and Mick and all this, like we kind of formed a very tight knit group in that community.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of fun, great times, just making art, having a laugh, really. And then we did an exhibition called Raw at the Victoria Mill, which kind of ruffled a few feathers, which is good.
Yeah. Why is that?
I don't want to go into too much detail, but we ruffled a few feathers in the place with that. So then after a while, we kind of got a bit tired of the way things were being run at the old place we were at, so we kind of decided to go off on our own and set up our own kind of artist space, which was run by artists for artists. And that's how this place came about, which is the Electric Picture House. And we're still here 5 years later. And that's thanks entirely down to this man, Mike Nixon, who is a hero. And who, yeah, like I said,
had legacy.
Yes. I mean, but yeah, I mean, that's that. I just wanted to say thank you to him in my own way, because I never got a chance to say it in life. I mean, I did, obviously. I did. I said, I always looked up to him, and he was a real idol in my life, and someone I really looked up to, and was, always I loved, really, I suppose. So that's that. I've done quite a lot of the grieving already, but it still hurts, really. I'm still kind of in the process, I guess. So yeah, but we're here to discuss more dastardly and kind of black issues in this, I suppose, which is the villains in popular culture, films, etc. And
the cold-blooded psychopaths who don't know anything.
So basically the opposite of
not always the case. It's funny that it's not always the case with certain villains, because the stereotypical one is on as you're talking about, on the other side of the coin, there's no remorse for anything they do. But I like this quote: no villain sees themselves as the villain. They only see themselves as the heroes of their own story, which is interesting. Because to the villains, their villains are the heroes. Yeah,
do you mean say that again? Sorry, I was a bit zoned out for a second there.
No, that's all right. Like, what I'm saying is, like, because the villains never see themselves as the villains, they only see themselves as the heroes of their own story. They see the heroes as their villains.
It's like a thesis and antithesis, I guess, where you've got basically opposed opposites, I guess. I mean, I was thinking about this in relation to, because I watched Frankenstein, the Mary Shelley interpretation version not long ago, and I was kind of thinking about the same idea, because in Frankenstein, his monster is kind of a part of him. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent now, but the demon that drives Frankenstein is like you were saying about playing God in the previous podcast. Well, Frankenstein's obviously doing that on one level, but also I think he's very driven by very personal demons in his life, you know. And the monster is a reflection of that. The monster is his own wanting to control life and death, which, as we're painfully aware right now, you can't actually do in real life.
No, but yes, that isn't it. Because life and death is something we don't actually have. We can manipulate it and reinforce it in the real world, but we don't have any power over it. And maybe, you know, you have so many classic villains who are actually, it's a lot of it's always surrounding death, or why, for example, heroes turn into villains.
Yeah, or kind of chaos and order.
Normally it's a death, like, I don't know, Star Wars, Darth Vader.
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
about death.
That's good. With Star Wars, Vader, obviously, classic villain. But it's interesting, the development of his character, obviously, because he goes from being an innocent, you know, Anakin Skywalker,
the Jesus of the Jedis, into the Antichrist.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's that extreme transition. That beautiful scene. I mean, it's beautiful. It's tragic, but it's also beautiful. Is where Obi-Wan and Anakin, and it was the only bit I actually really liked in the third new film, where they have that lightsaber battle. And he's like,
"Oh yeah, the reboot.
You were the chosen one, Anakin. Did you deliver us from the dark side? Not join them to join the sorry."
It's alright, you can cut it
Balance
and just
the Force, not leave it in darkness.
Put Ewan McGregor's scene in it. Is it Ewan McGregor? Yeah.
Yeah, like that's just so tragic, and then you get that's the final transformation into the dark side, i.e. the Sith. You know, where he goes from being. I mean, obviously, events kind of conspire with him in his life to create.
Yeah, that was definitely the catalyst.
Yeah, and I can't remember because it's been a while since I've seen it, but wasn't it? What's her name? The woman in it, played by. She gets killed, doesn't she? And then that kind of drives me over. Or she dies, and I can't remember what it is. Is it? Can you tell me? Because I can't remember.
Well, she dies giving childbirth.
Yeah. And then that kind of creates this kind of anger, and the hatred grows in him, as Yoda says, I guess. And he kind of, instead of dealing with that pain I can't judge it because I've never been there, but like, instead of trying to do something with that pain that would help him get beyond it, he kind of turns on everyone else. I mean, there's one point in that transition where he actually murders younglings, doesn't he? The young Sith trainees. And when you get to the point, I mean, we can talk about this later when we talk about what the nature of evil is. If any person gets to the point where they're murdering children, they're taking a quite drastic turn to something quite evil and psychopathic, really.
But that's the thing. Even when that happens, he says that, back to the old no villain sees himself as the villain, but more the hero of their own story. He tries to convey that the only reason he's doing it is to throw over Palpatine, because his mindset is so warped by after that. He goes on to say that it's like, oh no, now I can rule the galaxy and stuff. And was it he tries to portray it as, I'm doing this for us.
Yeah, he tries to put a flawed greater good argument across,
it's that thing they honestly, and he says it to Obi-Wan. He thinks, like, by the end he says, from his point of view,
I've bring peace to this land or something like that.
Yeah, and stuff like, from his point of view, the Jedi are evil. From his point of view.
Well, then you are lost, because he says, what's that line? He says, oh God, how's it go? From my point of view, the Jedi are evil, and he gets addicted to power, basically, doesn't it? Having that kind of power over everything. I think, like I was going to say before, it goes on to similar lines that we discussed in the last one about extreme order. So, extreme, when someone is totalitarianism, really is what I'm talking about, where someone wants to control every aspect of
Godfather,
society.
Scarface.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
these
because
are
like,
that.
you know, the best societies, and obviously I'm going on an Obi-Wan tract here,
The Emperor. Yeah, no, that's right.
such is my nature, but the best societies are run in the republic-like manner where it is a democratic and as perfect a democracy as you can have, because no democracy is ever perfect. But the republic is preferable to the alternative, which is dictatorship, obviously.
Mm,
Or it can be in most forms of contemporary thinking, anyway.
mm.
That makes sense. I know I've got into kind of more of a political government, kind of.
No, but it's always interlinked. I think it's always
Yeah,
they always have their own form of villains have their own form of politics, whether
I
it's
mean, like, just to take it onto more of a personal one here. I mean, because where I am now, we are a cooperative, so we run it basically as a republic. It's basically a mini republic in a small town. So on a micro system, like micro level anyway. So we run things collectively and make decisions and vote on things and stuff like that. So it's basically we basically have a small senate here, basically, in a lot of respects. I mean, I think what we've done here is been radical and still will continue to be radical. And I know that's just kind of a sidetrack to go down, but it's just because it's all close to home, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we could talk about real life villains as well, or what we conceive as real life villains, or who do we think are real life villains. So let's get some obvious ones out of the way. Obviously, Hitler, Stalin, Mao, mass murderers, serial killers. They're all pretty bad people, really, aren't they? You wouldn't want a man for dinner.
But once again, it goes back to they never saw themselves as the villains. They
Well,
thought
yeah,
they
I
were
mean, like in the
genuinely.
case of serial killers, they were psychopathic killers, and they have psyche.
No
Very
remorse.
definition of a psychopath is someone who has no empathy whatsoever and just is driven by some kind of compulsion to do heinous evil shit. And a lot of I mean, I was talking to a friend today, and he said he realizes as well. A lot of psychopaths, there's something structurally wrong in their brains.
Must be grey matter, white matter.
Yeah,
I'm sure if you CAT scanned them all, scanned all their brains, there'd be a correlation
there'd be
somewhere.
yeah. I think I can't remember which bit of the brain deals with empathy, but that part of their brain would be underdeveloped.
Yeah, non-existent.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, non-existent. But like, what's going to go there? So it's quite interesting if you think about what creates villains. Usually, it's circumstance, isn't it, in their lives. It's a mixture of environment and nurture, and not having it.
Created.
It's like for us, for example, like in our own personal lives, I think we can safely say that we're not evil men. We're not perfect men, because no man is perfect. But we do our best to be the best men that we can be in our lives, and we try and act with a moral compass. We try and act morally.
Yeah, exactly.
The difference between us and I guess if you want to call it evil people, like someone like Hitler, is like we can safely say, I think, that both you and I have been brought up in very nurturing households. We've had, and friends and all the rest of it. We've been brought up in a very nurturing environment. That'd be fair to say, wouldn't it? Like, I've got the picture house. I've got my family. Like, my mum and dad are very good to me and cared for me a lot over the years. My brother and sister, all the rest of it, and all my extended family network, like my friends and all that. And you've obviously got the same thing. And I think how psychopathy comes about is a mixture of, well, it's not a mixture because they're born, but if you can have functional psychopaths. So I've got a friend who's very into this stuff, and he kind of gave me some of this knowledge, Gaz, and he kind of told me about you can have functional sociopaths, and a lot of they excel in very competitive environments.
Capitalism, sure.
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a system that's based on competitive behaviours
Mm.
and competing systems vying for dominance. That's
Yeah,
what.
because businessmen don't even trust each other. So, you know
Say
what I
again.
mean? Or businessmen
Yeah,
or women,
yeah,
they don't
because
really trust each other when they go into business. One of them's always trying to get a higher percentage over the other one rather than being like, no,
well, it's all
actually.
about stock market values
Mm.
and chasing the profit over people, which is
Mm.
pretty much why we're in a bad situation. How we can change that for the better, I haven't got the answer to right now, but I think give it enough time.
I mean, in real life politics at the moment, we've got the EU referendum, and what's interesting about that is if you're deciding to stay in, you're the villain, so the people who want to stay out or go out, and the ones who want to go
Oh
out,
yeah,
you're still going to
it's
stay
a
in.
very.
What's your?
I'm going to vote in, to be
Oh,
honest.
really?
What about yourself?
I'm
Out?
I'm very undecided, but I feel like we should be out. I don't.
Well, I've got some lingering doubts about voting in, but to be
I just
honest,
think it will only benefit the people at the top staying in, and it will screw over the people at the
well,
bottom.
possibly, but it's for me,
You know what I mean?
it's more a case of do we want to be internationalists or do we want to be not nationalists necessarily, but do we want to be risk
I
cutting
don't know.
ourselves?
There seems to be a lot of propaganda and a lot of disinformation going about. So my brain's kind of scrambled with it. And initially, I wasn't even going to vote or have a stake in the outcome because I don't want to
Yeah,
use my vote. And then if it all goes tits up, to be like, oh, I voted that. I'd rather just not have a hand in it. But it is fairly important because whichever parallel world I go into, whether we're in or out, it's going
yeah.
to determine a lot. And even if it is going a little bit off topic, but maybe if it is just a wasted vote,
Doesn't matter. I mean,
still it's
like, I
better than
think
being.
part of what this podcast should be about is letting it go wherever it naturally goes. To be honest.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And by the way, we're not suggesting that anyone who votes out in the EU is evil, and that we're also not suggesting that anyone who votes in is evil. By the way, just thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel fairly neutral
Having a free discussion of ideas. That's basically what we're having here.
because I'm hearing it from both sides with that topic. A lot of people making good points to stay in there. A lot of people.
I mean, I've got friends who are voting out, and
Mm.
do I think they're evil? Do I hate them? Fuck no.
But I'm
I've got
sure some
two very
people
good friends
are
who
really
are
letting
voting out. I
this
think
get
it's
to
fine.
them, and they are thinking,
I've got a
do
lot
you
of
know?
good friends who are voting out. Actually, I'm still going to personally vote in just because.
That's funny because I feel like I'm personally going to vote
I
out.
know, and it's weird because, like, for me, the Conservative government are a vote in vote, and obviously, you know that I'm a Labour member and Labour supporter, so it feels kind of weird to be on the same sheet as the Tories on this one. And but I kind of think it's kind of it's a question of I hate saying this word and I hate even using this concept, but it's the lesser evil, I guess. Which brings us to the evil thing.
Maybe, but I
Because
was.
in politics, that's often it is the case that if someone's a leader or if someone's a community of people, they have to make a choice between a lesser evil, I guess, which is kind of compromised in a lot of respects.
I'm
Sometimes,
interested to
but
see which way it goes because even though I'm voting out, I have a feeling we're going to stay in, and I'm interested
oh
to
yeah.
see
Well,
what.
the polls are going to the out now.
Well, yeah.
Quite
I
strong.
mean, I think there's a lot of propaganda on both sides.
And
I
you know
feel like
what?
there's
Like
a
I
lot of
need to
fear
renew my
mongering.
passport as well, so I'm going to be fucked
Yeah.
when I leave the country, which would be great.
Oh yeah, of course, because that will
Probably should
change.
say that actually, because it's too much personal information, but it doesn't matter.
That's fine.
But yeah, well, I've already revealed my heart and sadness inside me, so I don't know.
Mm.
It's good to be personal.
Yeah.
Personable. Yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting how villains, heroes, villains. There's always some form of politics
Well, yeah,
entangled.
there's usually in politics there's often a thing called scapegoating, which I'm sure you understand what that means. Like,
Yeah.
the most obvious example of that would be the Jews, and obviously, in recent history would be Jews, Nazis, and the Jews in the Second World War. Where
I've got people I know, who say, initially what Hitler was doing was a good thing, trying to make Germany, getting rid of the bankers and just making Germany self-sustainable.
Yeah,
but as soon as
by the bankers, because he said like he said that there's an international Jewish conspiracy, banking conspiracy, and blah 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 blah. There's a famous document that was out there called Protocols of Zion, which is complete garbage. So, I mean, you've got to be very cautious around these kind of like these tales, because a lot of it. I mean, like, I think a problem with equating, sure, some Jews are good at making money, but that doesn't mean that all Jews are. There's this international cabal of bankers.
No.
I mean, I know you're into the whole Illuminati.
Oh, what, the Zionists?
Theory. Yeah. I mean, like, but Zionism is
Israel.
like Judaism.
Zionism
is separate from Judaism. I mean, so fuck, we're getting into deep territory now.
No, not at all. I'd like to just quickly clarify though that I don't think Jews are all Zionists.
Zionism,
I just think there are a group of them.
I'm not religious, so I kind of don't take any side on the religious issue.
No, they're racist.
I like, but
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean they're a race.
See, even that, I don't really believe in the whole race. The cultural, it's weird to say, but I just look at humans as humans. We put these labels.
Oh, yeah. So do I. I'm a humanist. I mean, I believe in human values and human. We make the most of what we make meaning in our lives. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It comes from within. So, and yeah, I think what people often do. Israel Palestine is obviously a massive issue in the world, and it has been.
Because with that, I do see Israel as the villains in the piece.
Oh yeah, a lot of people.
Well, the Israeli government, not the people, because the people don't.
Oh yeah, and you've made a really good distinction there, because you separated the Israeli state. I mean, it's like with Blair in the Second World War, the Iraq War. Like, how many people protested against that? I don't even know one person who was for that war. I literally know no one.
But we still didn't get. This is the thing about voting as well. We don't get to really vote on the important matters, like things like the EU and stuff like that. I think, okay, they've given us that to vote on, but I think like things like war and stuff, we don't really get a say. It's always up to whoever we've elected. Politicians. Was it eyes to the right, nose to the left?
Yeah, it's the military-industrial complex again, which is the quite sinister connection of.
Is it eyes to the right,
industry.
Meaning go forward? Yeah, we're gonna. Because eyes to the right.
I can't remember. I don't know actually. To be honest, I should know that, but I don't know.
Because eyes to the right. If you do your eyes to the right, it's quite a sinister-looking thing. So it almost.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know if I can even do it. I can do my eyes to the left.
I feel like eyes to the right. It's like I've seen it in The Godfather. I've seen it in a lot of films where they do the eyes to the right, and to have that in politics, it sounds like eyes to the right. I'm going to blow your shit up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's weird.
Pissed off Britons.
Right and left wing. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've read where that comes from somewhere ages ago, but I can't remember.
Eyes to the right, nose to because nose to the left almost sounds like turning the other cheek. Whereas eyes to the right, it sounds like we're gonna drop some bombs on you.
Well, this brings us on to another interesting discussion point. Actually, it's more of in the spiritual kind of occultist kind of tradition. In some respects, not necessarily occultist, but left has often been associated with deviousness, and as in like left, just the left in general has often been associated with deviousness in some. I think it's mostly in Christian history. The left has often been associated with deviousness and evil. Like when you hear the things about people who've got left hands and stuff like that. The rest of it.
Oh yeah, that old. Yeah.
And then it's often been, and there's often in magic as well. There's a path called the left hand path, which is basically around
That's
ego.
interesting.
It's ego
Yeah,
magic. So it's about bigging yourself up and doing magic purely for selfish reasons.
that's
And
interesting.
in the
Yeah,
left-hand path, the justification for that would be that we are inherently selfish creatures. So therefore,
because
why deny that selfishness? If you know what I mean.
there's
And then
old
the opposite that would be like white magic, I guess.
because what's it in the Christian ideology? It's interesting you say that about being on the left, because in Christian ideology, it's Jesus sits on the right hand of God.
Yeah.
And that's very specific. So it's like, why the right hand? So it's interesting you saying about the left there, and then just I threw that one out. Just the idea Christ sits on the right, it's left and right, the yin and yang, the good and
Yeah.
bad, the light, the dark, the
Well, I think I don't know. Yin and yang is just another word for duality, isn't it? Really?
yeah.
The duality and unity of existence and blah blah blah. But
But I think it's consistent in all manners of life. I think everything has its yin and its yang. I think I mentioned this in the last
energetically, psychology, not psychology, or maybe
up,
psychology.
down, as above, so
Male,
below,
female, black,
before,
white,
after.
gay,
Yeah.
straight, blah 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 blah, etc. I guess.
Past,
But then
future, the
that's
yin yang, so
probably
that's present.
too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
And then obviously heroes, villains.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
it's
like,
almost like
let's take it into actually a more very, very interesting philosophical angle.
uh,
Have you? I know I've taught you about this with you a bit before, but you read Nietzsche.
mm,
I'm pretty sure I pronounced the name right this time. Always have to double check myself. Nietzsche. Nietzsche. So he had this. Oh, he's got a book which I read a bit of. Read about a bit of it, and I've read The Spoke Star Fustier.
Oh yeah.
Most of that. I've read The Antichrist, which is his treatise against Christianity, basically, in a lot of ways.
Sure.
I only read it once. It was a very heavy read, and his books generally are, apart from The Spoke Star Fustier, which has got a lot more poetic elegance to it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
More of a parable. But in Beyond Good and Evil, which I've got, it's about how morality is created by, you have to create your own morality basically and go beyond the society that tells you what good and evil is and create your own morality. So instead
but even that, I'm sure, could cause.
Oh yeah, it's going to cause internal conflicts. It's about, I mean, and a lot
The
of
whole
Nietzsche's
do as you
ideas.
will ideology, because it's do as you will.
Well, yeah, it's kind of an Alistair Crowley like idea. So it's do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law, love under the will stuff. But
yeah, that's the only thing I have with that. I think if that was the case for it, and I think obviously everyone should have free will and stuff, but I think it is good that we have things that we can all universally agree on and say, no, don't do that.
Universal moral values, I guess, is what you're saying.
Some things are fine, and then you get some things where you're like, how long's that been in the history books? But like a simple example, like how we all agree that murder is wrong, but murder to other humans is wrong, because we obviously the human race, we still kill a lot of things. Do you know what I mean? Like the cow, chicken, we kill that for food. Some of us see it as evil, vegetarians, or just wrong. Some of us see it as just yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, it goes back to culture and everything, but it's just interesting on a global scale. Everyone who seems to be sane agrees. Obviously, murder is wrong, and other things. This is why they're illegal and stuff. And this is the thing, like with law, I think, like we have these things in place, but a villain, a psychopath, doesn't matter if that law's there. It doesn't.
Well, the thing is with those psychologies is that they have to be. It's one of the few cases where I would kind of agree with a kind of control, or a kind of very deep level seated control, I guess, over that kind of psychology. You can't have
'Cause
psychos running around all
it's a
over the
little
place.
bit. It's a little bit like. Have you seen the film The Purge? I actually haven't seen it, but I
No,
know
I've
of
not
the
seen
story.
that. No, I've never even heard of that actually.
It's about where in America they make all crime legal for one night only. So what's that? 12
Yeah.
hours. And I
So
just
kind of like not
yeah.
that this is my idea of anarchy, but kind of a lot
Yeah,
of people's idea of complete nihilistic anarchy, I guess.
they get there one day to go out, and they all go out
Yeah,
together,
it's pure
and just
nihilism, isn't it? It's that whole idea
what
of
a mess they would leave the next
there's
day.
no. Well, this relates to Nietzsche as well. It's that whole idea of there is no inherent value to anything, so just do what you want. But that's like a lot of people often misinterpret Nietzsche as nihilism, but it's not. It's
Mhm.
more about having a self-created series of ideals and values and creative energy that you kind of put out there in the world. I'm talking about the Ubermensch now, basically Superman,
Yeah,
which kind of is kind of funny link because I was talking about my superhero earlier on. So it's kind of just I know that's kind of a maybe, but the Ubermensch is the self-created man who creates his own moral values, and his ultimate ideal is creativity and in having his own creative vision, and without working outside of the moral framework of the society or the prevailing system that he or she is within in society.
mm.
Am I making sense, by the way? I hope
Yeah,
I'm not rambling too much
yeah.
this time.
No.
I know I'm kind of in a weird state at the minute. So.
Obviously, yeah. Because even that, even like the grieving process, I was very I'm sure. Actually, there are some villains who I'm thinking fictional in films who have grieved, but
Yeah, I
it
mean,
seems to be
well, let's
it
try
seems
and
to be a
think of
trait that
an
doesn't.
example of a villain who's created from who's someone who starts. Well, actually, I put the ultimate one,
Mm,
Dark Knight.
mm.
Well, let's just put a spoiler alert on this before everyone must have
I
seen Dark Knight.
think
But
you've
Two
been living
Face,
under a rock.
Two
Yeah,
Face, the ultimate example of that kind of idea of villainy,
and
where
they use the coin, which is very symbolic, isn't it?
yeah, the two
The
sides of
coin,
his nature, but
mm.
then it's like the shadow side of his nature, which is kind of what I was talking about with Frankenstein as
Which
well.
was always
Where
there. I believe that's always, and I think it's in all of us, as
oh, for
John
sure,
Lennon.
it's
John
what
Lennon
Christians would
says.
conceive of as the devil. I
Yeah,
mean,
or as
God,
John Lennon calls it, he says
personally,
we've all got
I'm more of
Christ and we've all got
a
Hitler in
Jungian
us.
perspective on this, and I kind of see it as it's something within ourselves that we have to learn to live with, but also move beyond the shadow. I mean, as well.
Just like a Jedi, just kind of be aware of that
Yeah,
negative.
and don't let it consume you. And that, I mean,
Exactly.
I've never even thought of it that way. That's a really interesting way to think about it, actually. Like the good, the Jedi being representation of the good side of your nature, and then the Sith as the shadow side. I've never
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Yeah, because I think it's a great message for kids as well when they watch it.
Oh, it teaches them to find their own moral values and to find, and not to do it, through a journey, through a quest. I was actually watching what was it now? I can't remember. Oh, that was it. It was a Terence McKenna video, and he was talking about Jung, and you know how much I love Terence McKenna. I watch him constantly and all the time, and he's very much a figure that I look up to. And it was a talk where he was talking about how Jung's idea was see your life as a quest, and you're going to have dips, you're going to have high points, you're going to have midway points, you're going to have periods where you feel, it's a quest. It's in that it doesn't mean that it's a quest, and you've just got to. The whole point of your life is just to figure out what your quest is, what your vision is, and what you want to bring to the world, and then make, as used in the Nietzschean and philosophy way, make your will and put your will out there in the world, the power of the will, and make that will whatever you want it to be. But accept the fact that whatever you will into the world is what you will become.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
If
that's
that
a good
makes
way
sense.
to.
That was probably a slightly hard to understand, but you know what I mean.
No. I get you. I get you completely. I mean, because as far as we know, we only have one shot at life, and it's what we make of it. And I'm
Yeah,
sure.
this is getting really deep, this chat, actually, isn't it? This
Yeah,
is really good.
yeah,
We're getting
and I'm sure
moving.
I'm sure when Hitler was 10 years old, I'm sure he never thought one day I'm
Probably
going to
wanted to be a
actually.
painter.
There we
You know,
go.
I mean,
He did.
ironically enough. I
That
mean, I hope
bloody
I
art,
never end up
that
like
bloody art teacher, that bloody art teacher. I'll tell you what.
if I like, here, just do a deal here. If I ever end up like Hitler, just tell me I'm doing very very bad things, and just tell me to. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make a light of a really dark kind of idea, but you know what I mean. Like,
Is that
because he was
yeah.
obviously, like, I'm a painter, and Hitler had aspirations to be a painter, and then he was a failed painter because he basically wasn't very good.
Mm.
He had a very conventional style, which didn't have. It was very forced. He didn't have any kind of spirit or soul within his work. This is what people at the time said, and I've seen his work, and it's not really that great. I mean, in terms of like the time that he was in,
I've never actually seen any. That's funny that I've never Googled it.
it's just like postcard art. I mean, it's got no soul.
It?
It's got no fire in it. It's got no. I mean, you know what I like. I like
It would
really
be
expressive art. I like art that comes from the
scarily
heart.
foreshadowing if he did something
Yeah.
like the Hindu good luck symbol at the time.
Well, he designed. I don't know this for 100%, but I'm fairly sure that he designed the logo.
The logo.
I'm fairly sure he did. I mean, I did see. I am basing all of this, by the way, on that film with what's his name? The actor, I can't remember his name, but it's The Rise of Evil. It's called. That's the film I'm thinking of. I'm basing all that. I'm basing that on that information. So if it's based on truth, so it probably is true. It's got what's his face off Train Spotting in it. Do you know the guy who plays the kind of crazy man who throws pint glasses at people and has an embarrassing encounter with a woman, special lady in a car? And like, I completely forgot what I was saying now. I'm just thinking about special ladies in cars. Anyway, where were we?
Space. We're in space.
Yeah.
I mean, even in terms of like UFOs and stuff, like, I mean, it's that idea of if there are aliens, do they look at us as the villains or just ants?
Well, I don't think if they're sufficiently advanced, then aliens would think of us as either
bacteria,
ants, or they would think of us as.
They look at us like we look at bacteria.
Try and think of ways that maybe they're out there, and they're just waiting for the time that we actually evolve to the level where we've gone beyond. Look at the Orlando shootings.
Would make it stay away, wouldn't it?
I mean, if we can stop killing each other over minute details, like someone wants to sleep and love someone else who might be of the same gender, or might be transgender, or might be lesbian, might be gay, blah 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 blah. It doesn't even matter. I mean, none of that matters. What matters is developing a compassionate spirit for your fellow human being, and being compassionate. And like, I know I'm getting a bit Christ-like now myself, which is ironic considering I'm not a Christian, but I think the more you develop compassion, and that doesn't mean becoming someone that everyone can step over, because that would make you a weaker person, but it means just having human compassion as a value. That makes sense. So, I mean, and I think aliens, if they're out there, there's gonna be the Klingons, there's gonna be the Borg, there's gonna be the evil fucking techno monsters, all the rest of it, I'm sure. At some point in the future, like in Doctor Who and all that. Davros, that's the next thing we've got to answer, I think.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Genesis of the Daleks, actually? It's one of the old Doctor Who episodes.
Yes, I have. Yes, I had to
One way
think
he's got
about
the
it.
vial, and he's like, I would do it. I would. Like, like doing a real proper like evil. And
Mm.
Tom Baker's like, he can wipe out everything with this amount of power. And Tom Baker then
Do you know
wrestles
what?
it.
While we're talking about villains and all that, I'll put it. You still hear me?
Yeah.
So unplug my.
How long have we been on for, actually? How long do you want to make it? Yeah. Okay, go on.
No, I did. Oh, is my camera on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Spin that around. Let's make it a little more visually pleasing on my end.
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
we'll put visuals on anyway. Yeah. Over the top. But
see that?
Yeah, GTA.
Oh, there we go. So now you can hear me, and I can just stream this live because I am playing a villain, and I'm not.
Oh, okay. This is kind of interesting because we can explore the idea now of using fantasy as a means to.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like with GTA, you play.
Yeah, I mean it's like that thing with the Daily Mail, and they always fucking go on about like people playing video games influences behavior, and it makes people psychopathic, which is completely against evidence because psychopaths are born; they're not created.
Exactly.
So, I mean, like I've played games. I don't play games as much as I used to now. I'm going to be soon because I've got my Oculus Rift and my new PC.
Oh yeah.
I like games as well, even, but there's this very popular idea that video games influence behavior, and I think it's bollocks.
Yeah, it is.
It's a way to escape. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's like
really. You can interact with it.
You've had a difficult day, and whatever. Instead of going out there, and being aggressive, you just take it out on a virtual character.
That's the thing. I never actually play games if I'm wound up or annoyed.
No, it's positive. Games are so positive. Games are so positive because, like we were saying about everyone's got that shadow side within them. It allows.
It's nice to explore it and just be like,
it just lets you explore different aspects of your ego, and then instead of doing them in actual real life, you go and explore those things in fantasy.
Well, exactly. I'm sure that's why.
Explore what the limits of yourself are, and the best games have got a very, 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 very. Like I always remember when we were playing in the house that Heavy Rain game, and that was so ambiguous, so morally ambiguous, so confusing, such a good story, but so morally ambiguous and charged with this kind of like, this very, like I said, this ambiguity, which I loved in that game. And obviously, like my favorite character in that was the detective, and like I can remember you telling me that that's actually who ends up being the killer in one version of how it ends. I guess is that correct? Is that correct?
Yeah, it was the detective who was actually the villain. He was the jigsaw killer the whole time, and you play as him, and you think you've almost worked out who it is, and then the twist is actually the jigsaw killer's the.
Because I liked that character.
I know they did it so well, didn't they? Where it was just like
detective, kind of like it was an old cliche, and I kind of identify with it on some levels. Where he's kind of jaded, but he's got a solid gold heart at the core of him. That's how I felt when I was playing him. I was like, this guy's a bit jaded and a bit pissed off of the world. He's obviously drinking a bit too much and all the rest of it. But we've all been there. But he's obviously got a deep underneath all that kind of jaded character. He's got a heart of gold, and he really does care about people. And that there was also that very funny time when I was fucking struggling with the controls, and I was trying to get the baby to calm down. And I was just doing this for about, I think we could possibly have something at the time, and possibly, I say possibly, disclaimer here, and I was just there for ages, just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, how do I get this baby to stop crying? Which I'm sure I'll actually be like when if I ever do have a baby, which might happen, I guess, sometime. Not that I'm thinking about that right now, but anyway.
Well, yeah, it goes back to the whole, are they born, or is it learned? And I'm sorry, even though I hear from people, they must be born like that, I do think it's generally, I don't know, because like...
Well, the Joker, let's talk about the conception of the Joker. I mean, like, the Joker is one of the ultimate villains, obviously, in Batman.
Well, in The Dark Knight, it was always kind of portrayed that he was...
well, I mean, have you ever read The Killing Joke by Alan Moore? Yeah, well, I gave you that comic. What the fuck am I talking about? that kind of shows how he came from a very abusive household, and it kind of warped his mind, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's kind of I can't remember what he is. I've only read it once. He's a failed. Is he a failed comedian or something, or failed? Well, probably would make sense, wouldn't it? But
yeah, failed comedian.
That kind of goes into how his insanity comes around from coming from this house. So I think for sure someone could get sent so over the edge that they. I did do this painting behind me, but trust me, I'm a wonky-eyed fella with. It looks quite scary. I'm perfectly sane. I take my medication regularly, and I haven't killed anyone. Never will. But I just thought I'd throw that in there. Seeing how.
But it's interesting how you say that. You never will. But you don't.
I don't
know.
think I could. Well, I'd have to be driven pretty far.
Because you never know what could happen in 20. You could be sitting there 20 years' time, family, someone breaks into your house, he's got a gun or he's got a knife or something to say your son or daughter, and you've got a gun in your left hand.
Well, that's arguably maybe justifiable.
Very slim. Obviously, that actually happened.
I had a debate. Well, not a debate, but I won't say why this was, but I was in a group, and someone it's just an article that was about this rapist who is it's really horrible article actually, but this rapist this guy basically caught this guy raping his wife and attacking her physically really badly, attacking her, and the guy basically killed the rapist because of what he was doing, which was fucking heinous. And I said instinctively most men would do exactly the same thing in that situation, because your adrenaline kicks in at that point, and you know if a woman is literally there in front of you being physically assaulted and raped, how could you, and a woman that you love as well, how could you stop yourself from the pure adrenaline just running through your body? I mean, obviously all men would kick the shit out of the guy.
Well, yeah, it'd be
would be why did he take the question that came up, should he have taken it that far, as into. Well, then my argument was, in the heat of the moment, you cannot.
Well, it's always that.
You can't make that rational.
In the heat of the moment, you don't really.
You know me, like, I'm a really rational human being. I'm like uber rational. Like I try and be rational about every decision. I'm very rigid in my thinking.
But it's almost like it's not
rigid in my thinking, but rigid in my ability to keep on questioning things and or constantly questioning. You know, but anyway.
Yeah,
it's not evil. I mean, it's really that, again, grey, moral, ambiguous area, which sadly is what a lot of life is, I guess.
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that, because it's kind of like that's how the character, the Punisher, was. You know, the whole backstory of the Punisher. Marvel. No, sorry, is he DC? No, he's Marvel. Or is he DC? I can't remember.
It sounds like DC, to be honest. Punisher.
Yeah. I think actually, it was DC. Sorry. I mean, his character's all about, his family gets killed, but he's not a villain. He's an anti-hero.
Yeah,
and that's
we're going to
even
talk
more.
about this, weren't we? Actually, it's
and they're even more complex characters.
Well, one of my favorite, and he is cool, but he's a fucking weird motherfucker, is Kakahara from Ishi the Killer. You see Ishi the Killer, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You showed me that. Yeah.
And he's basically a massive sadomasochist who gets off on people beating him up and causing pain to others as well.
Sure.
But he's got a funky. This is just me being a bit superficial here. But he's got the coolest haircut in the world, and like fucking, it's like purple fucking overcoat, which is
really eccentric.
Sweet. It's like the Joker. He's very much like the Joker, actually. That's the character that he reminds me of. And you know how a lot of people kind of got onto that in terms of like cosplay and everything else. But yeah, I mean, in the film, he's a very, very extreme character, almost completely nihilistic. I would say a very definition of nihilism. He runs this gang. His boss has been murdered at the start of the film, and the boss that used to beat him up and but you don't really find out much about how he came to be that point. He's just like an agent of chaos, I guess, like Joker is in a lot of ways. Well, he just sees that, he's not, again, nihilistic. I mean, there's one scene in the film where it's very grisly and it's really hard to watch. Even for me, he was fairly, like detached from a lot of, not detached, wrong word, but like I can watch violence sometimes and be unaffected to it unless it's put in context in the film. But the scene where it doesn't cut, he gets his tongue and he basically cuts it off in front of this gang, and it's pretty fucking hard to watch. It's like Quentin Tarantino times 10. I mean, it is an extreme film, and I would not recommend it for anyone who's,
Well, it's funny that because I used to watch.
It's a good film though, because it's one of the rare films. I mean, it's not like Saw, because I feel
I can't watch it anymore. So
narrative, far much more developed narrative in Each the Killer. I mean, this is why I'm such a fan of not a lot, but some extreme Japanese cinema, because the ideas are generally more interesting than like Saw, for example, which has some interesting bits like the trap and everything else. But like like Ringu is more interesting than most Hollywood films. Each the Killer, Tetsuo Iron Man is trippy as fuck. It reminds me of some ways of Eraserhead, but it's more like industrial, I guess. Like, film. Those are the three main ones for me. But yeah, like Ishi the Killer is so good as well, because it's got all this real complex going on between. There's Ishi, who's he's not even a hero. He's definitely not a hero, but he's basically the lad in it who's programmed to murder people, basically. And he's like this weird. He gets off on pain as well. He kind of like I don't know what the word is, but he kind of basically comes in his pants a lot of the time when he's murdered someone, but he takes him a walk. It's weird, man.
Oh, like Death Proof. Is it that Tarantino film? I think it's called.
I've not seen Death Proof, so I don't
know. It's about this guy.
I got a Joker costume on.
Oh yeah, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. I think
that's your alter ego right on screen.
It's very interesting to just even create my alter ego.
He is definitely at the house Joker, used to always wear that. You always used to have that mask on all the time.
I still do.
I was watching a clip before. It's talking about how people have masks off. The image that we present of ourselves as a mask.
Mine's from the Dark Knight scene. It's not even the main.
If you were going to choose any mask, what mask would you choose to wear? If in a hypothetical situation where you had to wear a mask.
I've got it. If it was, it's the have you seen that? You've seen the Dark Knight. Oh yeah, obviously you've seen the Dark Knight.
At the start.
Yeah, I've got the replica mask, the Joker one, not the one. Not the one the Joker wears, but the one the guy at the end wears, the one who gets hit by the bus.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I've got that one. I've got it off eBay, and it's by far. I think if I was gonna go completely bonkers, that would be the mask. It would probably be iconic in a lot of ways. I've often thought of using it for a short film, because I don't think there is any problems for copyright infringement with that actual make, because it's made by some Chinese company and it doesn't look exactly identical to the film ones. So I'm thinking of making a short film, kind of not even an anti-hero film, but just but that's where the line kind of blurs. If you make a film based on a villain, it is going to be
have you got a title for it yet?
No, it's just kind of like in the back of my head, because I've got the props and I'm thinking of buying fireworks. Do you need an actor? That's the thing. Like, I haven't even I think
I'll play that. I'd love to play that role. That'd be brilliant. We've already, if you wanted to, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah,
because on screen now, obviously you can see my Grand Theft Auto alter ego. I love it. And it's literally,
I'd love to take on the character of an alter, like the opposite of.
and it is literally like mine's a rip off of the Joker, but it's obviously got aspects of things I'd wear: the hat, hoodie,
Well,
dark
yeah.
shorts, and stuff like that.
It's basically you with a bit of face paint on, isn't it? Really.
Basically, yeah. Because I think I think I would do the whole Joker war paint
Yeah.
thing. But then again, it goes back to that whole kind of wearing a mask, isn't it? That whole kind of that old quote.
I had that band. Actually. I had that band, Nature Magnet, a while ago. I think I've shown you. We used to wear face paint a lot when we did our performances. We kind of saw. I think we would all agree. We kind of saw it as a kind of a way of expelling stuff out of our systems, because that's what the idea of it was. And there was one time when I had red on one side of my face and blue on the other side, and then all these patterns that my mate Becca did all over my face. So I had, it's like a wavy line. I've got a picture of it somewhere. I might be able to find it. It's basically like one half of my face was painted red. One side was painted blue, and it was kind of like my war paint, I guess, if you wanted to call it that. It's like on stage just to be fearless. And actually, it was really weird when we had that gig. I was in a really bad way. I've got illness and all that, so I sometimes have these episodes of insanity. Not badly insanity, just manic insanity. I wasn't a bad one that night, but I had it on, all the face paint, and I ended up, it was a real trial by fire kind of like gig. It was really difficult, and I ended up screaming. I'm pretty sure, well, the footage is out there on YouTube. I smashed up a picture of my own face. There's a lot of tension in the band at that time anyway, because not for a lot of reasons. We were all kind of far away from each other at that point. And yeah, I ended up smashing stuff up. And we didn't have many people watching and stuff, but it was quite
No.
It was quite a traumatic gig, really, for all involved. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going off on one now, so I'll stop.
No, that's all right. It's interesting.
We should probably wrap this up soon, actually, because I've got it's 11:45 and I'll have to go home soon. I think we've covered a lot of ground there, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting ground.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. I mean, we didn't talk about. I don't know why I thought we were going to talk about Davros. I don't know why we didn't bring him up.
We did talk a bit about him, didn't we?
A little bit, didn't we?
Well, because
he's a very.
We'll wrap it up on this then, I guess, because he's obviously a classic Doctor Who villain. One of your favourites, I know. Is that?
Yeah, by far my favourite villain.
He's
in Doctor
very
Who.
strange. I don't. You know what? Even I can't understand Davros. He's like a psychopathic little squee. I don't even know enough about his history, to be honest, to know how he got to that point of like
radiation poisoning.
Destroy
his planet
was fascist.
Yeah, his planet was destroyed, and it was this whole. I think he had a massive complex that he was alone, so he invented Daleks, and then he became so mad because I think his home planet was destroyed.
Like he wanted to create little friends, I guess, or something.
Yeah, it's kind of quite creepy on so many levels, because I'm sure the radiation poisoning and his whole race dying, there was no way for him to have kids or anything, because he looked normal. He was normal at one point, and then the radiation poisoning made him all withered. I don't know how old he's. Oh shit! I don't know how old.
I often wondered, like, does Davros? And I'm just trying to end this on the lighter note now. Does Davros wank just to release some of that tension? I think a good way that Davros could
look at this.
Someone's
hacked me.
Have a wank.
You remember when you sent me that?
What the fuck?
You remember when you sent me that YouTube link about how hackers are violating people and stuff like that, and that person getting really offended?
Yeah.
And saying this is like almost cyber, like internet terrorism. I can't even remember what the reporters were saying. Here it is. What has someone done to me? See, I can't do anything now because I'm stuck in a box. and someone's turned me into an inflatable thing with a cone. I'm like, they're always putting cones on heads. I like it. I like it. Maybe we should end the podcast on this.
Surrealist.
On this.
This is the ultimate surrealist villain.
This is what a psychopath's mind looks like.
With a funny face and a Joker hat.
This is actually what goes on in a psychopath's mind. They don't think they're evil or anything. They just think they're an inflatable thing. One of them blow. Have you ever? I've never seen one of them in the UK. Actually, once I saw one outside a car place. No, this inflatable thing. What I could hacks with.
I need to sig though, man. So
that's cool, man. All right, buddy.
I think we've done about 40 minutes, and to our audience of whoever you are on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Hello. Leave us some comments below. Preferably nice ones, but whatever. If you've been in any way inspired, or if you could disagree with us, if you agree with anything we said, if you want to start a chat or kind of like engage with the ideas that we've explored, please leave us some comments below, and that would read. If any of you have made it through this, because obviously it's video, but yeah. And do you want to say anything before we head off?
No, not really. I'm pretty
sucked into GTA mode now.
I guess. Well, no, I'm pretty much done with it now. It's funny that. I think I was more just trying to portray the villain through.
No, it worked really well. I think that did. Okay. Yeah. Should we sign off now?
Yeah. All right, sweet.
Bye. See you, YouTube.
Right. Goodbye, YouTube.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, YouTube.